Hi and welcome to Aston St Mary's New Parents Transition Meeting. My name is Mrs Holmes.
And I'm Mrs Lale, and both of us will be the teachers in Shackerdale class in September. Now, this isn't normally how we would plan to do our transition meeting. It would obviously be lovely to see you all in person, but hopefully this is enough to give you all the information that you will need to get yourself and your children ready for September.
And if you do have any questions, just jot them down as we go along and then we'll give you an email address that you can send those to at the end. In Shackerdale class, there are 2 teachers and we share the job across the week. So myself, Mrs Holmes, I teach Monday, Tuesdays and Fridays, and Mrs Lale teaches on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And it works really well. We've been working together for a long time and we spend a lot of time communicating with each other across the week. And we also, between us, have 5 primary school age children. So we really do understand what it feels like for you to be experiencing having children in school, and hopefully that helps you to know that we know exactly where you're coming from and that we are all in this together. So the aim of this session would really be to hopefully answer any questions you have about your child starting in September. We will first go through what the earliest foundation stage looks like at Aston School, what the daily routine looks like here, the kinds of things your children will be getting up to. We will be going through some of the things that you could be doing at home to prepare your child for their start at school in September. Any general school information that we haven't already communicated and some reminders, and then a little bit about the transition that we hope to do between now and September with your child.
So, how do the children learn when they're in Shackerdale? So, everything we do in the early years is all learn through play and through encouraging the children to explore, using active learning. We're trying to teach them to be creative and critical and have their own ideas and ultimately be really independent learners. We're really lucky that we have an amazing indoor and amazing outdoor classroom which we use throughout the year in all weathers, as we've got a canopy so we can be out there in the snow, we can be out there in the rain. And we've also got our wonderful field and our forest school area, so the children are really lucky because they have such amazing experiences, not just inside but also outside, and they absolutely thrive in an outdoor environment. So it's really important for us as a school that the children learn outside as much as possible. Everything that we teach the children, we try and use really hands-on and practical resources that are relevant to the children, and all the topics that we teach we try and link with the children's interests. So for example, we've had dinosaurs, we've done superheroes, we've done unicorns and fairies. So we try and link where possible to the things that we know the children will enjoy, but also where we can link it with things that we know that they need to also be taught as well throughout the year. In the environment, everything that we put out is purposefully planned, so it's not just that they're just playing. All the resources that are put out are there for a reason. It may be that we've highlighted an area that perhaps all the children really need to work on, or 1 or 2 individuals need to work on, so we've put that in place for them. It may be that they're really interested in something. So for example, when they're interested in dinosaurs, we had a dinosaur egg in the middle of the classroom and it really promoted lots of speaking and listening skills. So we're guided by them as much as possible, and we try and really make it fun and exciting for them to ultimately be really engaged and really excited about their learning.
There are many things that we use to create a rich and exciting curriculum for the children in Shackerdale class at Aston St Mary's. One of the things we use are the 7 areas of learning. They're split into the prime areas of learning and the specific areas of learning. All areas of learning and development are important, and they're all interconnected. The prime areas are really important for building a foundation for igniting the children's curiosity and enthusiasm for learning, for forming relationships and for thriving. And they are communication and language, physical development, and personal, social and emotional development. Below that, you'll see the 4 specific areas through which the 3 prime areas are strengthened and applied. And these specific areas are literacy, maths, understanding the world, and expressive arts and design. I'll now go into these areas of learning in a little bit more detail now. Communication and language is one of the prime areas of learning. The development of the children's spoken language, it underpins all the 7 areas of learning and development, so it really is one that we focus on all the time in everything we do. We make sure that the children have quality interactions with all adults and each other in a really language-rich environment, so we're always celebrating new words and new language that the children might come up with or they might learn from home. And just new vocabulary is really, really key to ensuring the children have a really good grounding in the communication language area. Reading is really important in developing children's language and being able to listen to fluency in reading, lots of different stories, non-fiction, rhymes and poems. And then we give them lots of opportunities to use and embed their new words in a range of contexts. So for example, you can see in the photo that the little girl is doing some role play with a farmyard, and she's using a story that she's heard to recreate some role play and therefore developing her language skills. Physical development is also one of the prime areas, and it's really vital in children's all-round development, enabling them to pursue happy, healthy and active lives, and we view it as really, really important. We're really lucky at Uston that the children actually get 2 hours of PE a week to really develop their gross motor skills. They get to play lots of games, they get lots of opportunities to play indoors and outdoors, to work on their core strengths, stability, balance, spatial awareness, coordination and agility. So the gross motor skills really provide the foundation for developing healthy bodies and social and emotional well-being. But we also focus on the fine motor control and working on the children's precision, which helps with hand-eye coordination, which is later linked to early literacy when they're leading into holding a pencil and starting to write and form their letters. So we give the children lots and lots of opportunities to explore and play with small world activities, puzzles, arts and crafts, using small tools, and just to really develop their proficiency, control and confidence. You can see there the little girl was doing some weaving. Any sort of activity like this is great at home as well for really strengthening up the children's hands to enable their muscles in their hands to become strong enough to be able to hold a pencil. Every morning we do busy fingers in class for about 15 minutes, which are all fine motor skill activities. So every day your child will be doing some sort of fine motor skill development. The third prime area is personal, social and emotional development, which after the year we've had is so critical for our children right now. It's really important that all the staff form really strong relationships with the children to enable them to then learn how to understand their own feelings and those of others. The children are then supported to manage their own emotions, develop a positive sense of self and set themselves simple goals and have confidence in their own abilities. We spend lots of time discussing social stories, having circle time and discussing different situations and scenarios to enable the children to make really good friendships and bonds and to be able to cooperate and resolve conflicts peacefully amongst themselves without relying on adult intervention. Within PSED, we also teach the children how to look after their bodies. This includes healthy eating, managing their own personal needs independently, and as well as looking after their teeth and their oral health. Literacy is split into comprehension, word reading and writing. So first and foremost, reading is key. We want the children to really develop a lifelong love of reading. And reading consists of the 2 dimensions of language comprehension and of word reading. And the children probably already have a really good language comprehension from listening to you read stories. So although they can't, or some of them might not be able to read yet, they probably really enjoy listening to stories and they know what's going on. They're able to follow the story and probably anticipate what's coming next. And that is a key skill of reading before the children can even start to decode words. So that's really, really important. And that's something you can really continue to work with the children at home on. We then also do lots of storytelling based on the books that we've been reading at school to really, like I said before, build the children's word structure and to develop the children's language and storytelling skills. As you can see in the photo there's somebody retelling the story of the Three Little Pigs. Then, as the children show a really good understanding of how books work and how text works, it's read from left to right, and we turn the page of a book to read the next part, then we move on to teaching the children phonics, and we will do a separate PowerPoint just on phonics because it is quite a complex thing if you've never heard of it before. But essentially it's teaching the children letter sounds, or the sounds that letters make, and able to put those sounds together and blend them together and read a word. So once children have learned a few simple sounds, they're able to start writing and they're able to start reading their own books. So as you can see, writing can come in any form in the early years. So we've got a little boy down there drawing on the floor with a paintbrush and water. Sometimes they use chalk on the wall or chalk on the floor. We try and provide the children with lots of provocation to write, to try and get their interest and to get them to do some writing without them realising they're actually doing writing, because it's fun and they're engaged and they're interested in it. Maths in the early years is taught every day as an adult-directed lesson, and it's also everywhere in the classroom. So wherever the children are playing, there'll be some sort of maths for them to engage with. Whether they realise it or not, there will be some sort of maths, and you can see that by the photographs. The little girl's playing in the shop, and obviously there's money involved, which we can link with counting. The little boy is building with his bricks. That's really developing his spatial awareness and his reasoning skills. Somebody else is doing some sorting at the bottom. Measuring the length of different animals, even baking, is involving lots of maths and mathematical language. So our aim for maths in the early years is to develop a really strong grounding in number, to enable children to develop the necessary building blocks to excel mathematically. They should really be able to count confidently and develop a really deep understanding of numbers and the relationship between them and patterns within those numbers. Now, all the maths that we do in our adult directed lesson is always using lots and lots of manipulatives, small pebbles, tens frames, Numicon, lots of physical resources to support the children. We try not to use any worksheets. We try and make it as fun and hands-on as possible to ensure that the children really develop a secure base of knowledge and develop the vocabulary that they need, from which the mastery of maths is built. We also really look at reasoning skills, shape, space and measures, and ultimately we really want to just foster a real positive attitude and an interest in mathematics, enabling the children to look for patterns and relationships, spot connections, and just being willing to have a go, talk to their adults and their friends about what they notice, and really the main thing is not be afraid to make mistakes. Understanding of the world. So this area really involves guiding the children to really make sense of their own physical world and their community. So we want the children to gain a sense of the world around them, and we do this by lots of first-hand experiences, so from visits to the parks, a walk around Aston Village, a trip to Stevenage, and maybe a visit to the library, as well as having lots of people come in from different professions. So, for example, in the past we've had vets, we've had nurses, we've had firefighters, we've had a police car, and we've had a paramedic who let the children look in the car and try on the uniform. And the children gain so much from this first-hand experience. And it's something they always talk about and always will really remember. We want to use stories and rhymes and poems to allow the children to explore different cultures and understand different cultures and religions, and know that there are differences and similarities between people and people's lives. We want them to understand about the past and the present, about their own role in society and how we can look after our world. We want them to know differences between where they live and where other people live, and look at different countries, looking at maps and realise where they sit within the world. We also look at the natural world, and we're very lucky, like I said before, we have forest school once a week, so the children get to experience lots of this. So looking and making observations of animals and plants, and looking at different environments, and understanding change in our world, in our ever-changing world, but also change in seasons and change in growth and changes in our environment, and how we have an impact on that. And finally, the last area of learning is expressive arts and design. So we want the children to develop artistic and cultural awareness, which supports their imagination and creativity. We want children to be creative. We want children to have their own ideas and to be able to express themselves in different ways, whether that be through building things and creating things, artwork or models, or if that's through performance and playing instruments and singing songs. We want children to be as creative and as expressive as possible. So this area of learning is really, really important for developing the children's self-confidence, for developing their language skills, because there's lots that they can explain and talk about in the things that they've built and they've created. And we just do that by providing a wide range of resources for the children to do this. They have free flow of the creative area, so they can build models at any time, and they're able to have access to the paint at all times, the glue, anything that they need to create, they have it in their creative workshop and they're able to access it at any point. The children are well drilled and trained when they first start of how to use everything safely and neatly without creating a big puddle of paint on the floor. So we train them really well to use all of the art and design resources within the classroom, and they're very, very good. Always surprise us every year at how sensible they can be while still being really expressive and really create fantastic and wonderful designs and models.
So I'm now going to go through what a typical day in Shacadel class looks like, and as it comes up on the screen you'll see how much we really fit into one day. And there's so much learning going on throughout the day in Shacadel, whether it's in small groups with adult directed tasks or on the carpet, or in child initiated learning where we follow the interests of the children through their play, which I know Mrs. Laird already mentioned, and also just the transitional parts of the day where the children are learning how to put their coats on and how to eat their food with knives and forks, and to play with other children out on the playground in the field. So as they come up, I'm going to explain a little bit about each part. So when we come in the morning, we have self-registration. That will be a question outside the classroom that you can read to your children, and as the year progresses they'll be able to read themselves with a yes/no answer, and the children find their name and put their basket in the yes or no basket. It's just a good way to start having a little think about a question and children taking ownership of their arrival. After that, we come in and we do something called Busy Fingers. Now, Mrs. Layle mentioned how important it is to practice our fine motor skills, and Busy Fingers is a perfect scenario for that. The children come in, they find their name against an activity, and these are varied across the week and they really enjoy them. It gives them a great focus to start their morning, and it's a really good way of settling in before we take the register. During the register, the children will explain to us what lunch they're going to have, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a while. After that, we have a phonics session. Now, phonics is arguably one of the most important parts of our whole day. We will be teaching your children to read and write quicker than you can even imagine. And it's so amazing to go from the start of the year, where they may recognise a few letters and sounds or their name, to coming to the end now where we have children writing sentences. And it's such a great progression to see through the year. And phonics sessions happen absolutely every day. It's non-negotiable, it's never something that gets left out, and it's such a important time in our class. And later in the autumn term, we will be putting on a phonics session to show you what the kinds of things we teach, the kinds of games we play, and to help you to understand how we teach phonics in the early years. After that, we have a session of child-initiated learning. If you were to walk into our classroom, that might look like play, but really we set out activities that are to engage the children and to interest them and to try and get them to think in a different way. And we really like to go with their interests, to push them on with questioning, and to really see what kind of learning we can get out of them through their play. After that, we have break time with snack. Again, we will talk a little bit about milk a little bit later. The snack is something that's provided free of charge, so you don't need to bring a snack to school. To start with, we often have break in our own outside area, but then as the children get more used to school, we like to have our break time with the older children. That is one of the beautiful things about this school, how all the children mix together and love to play together, and you'll soon see that as your child settles in here. After this, we have maths. Where that says AD, that means adult directed. This is normally a short time on the carpet and then some maths games or activities with concrete materials to really help make maths interesting and easy for the children to access. After that, we have all important lunch, and by then they're really ready for it. Lunchtime, again, I'll go through in a little while. After this, we have normally a topic session. Again, this could be anything. It can be writing, it can be creative, it can be stories. There are so many things that we cover across the year, and no doubt this will be the thing that your children come home and talk to you a lot about, because they always get so engaged in our topics. On Mondays and Fridays, we have PE with Mr. Nash, who is our sports coach, and the children absolutely love him. He's brilliant with the young children, and they have really high quality PE sessions right from reception age, which is great. Obviously, we asked for a PE kit to be named. I'm sure you can imagine how busy it can get in a classroom of young children trying to get changed, and their things can go wandering into another bag. So as long as we can have names on absolutely every item that is in their PE bag, it makes things a lot easier. After that, we have another session of child-initiated learning, because it's just such an important part of our day. So the children will get to work inside or outside in their chosen areas. Then we have a short break time before the end of the day. This is normally just us and Key Stage 1. Then we will go to assembly. On Mondays and Fridays, that's in the class. The rest of the days, that is in the hall with all of the rest of the school. And then lastly, we finish our day with a fantastic story time, and then home time, where they'll be ready to come and flop into your arms after a very, very busy day. So now we get to a very important part of the day, lunchtime. Now, before your child comes into school, if they're going to be having school dinner, then you will need to choose their dinner choice, and information about that will be given to you later. Now, there are 3 choices which you need to order on school comms by 8 AM in the morning, and you can do that actually 3 weeks in advance. Then at lunchtime, the children come in and they will carry their own lunch on a special plate with all of the sections, and they then sit together and eat their lunch. Packed lunches and school dinners all eat together, and it's a great time for them to socialise and also to practice using a knife and fork if they're having school dinners. And it's just a really good time for them to try new foods. Often we find that children who aren't as comfortable eating get really good at trying new things when they are sat with lots of other children from their class who are doing the same. At Aston St Mary's School, we are always very proud of our buddies system that we run in reception. Now, what we normally do is we have a reception child who's linked to a child from year 5, 6, who looks after them for the beginning of school and is someone that they often make a very special bond with at their time at Aston. These children often read with them, they spend their lunch times with them and help them to cut up their food and things like that. And they also seek each other out at playtime, check in with each other. It's just such a special thing that is really unique about our school and just shows how caring the older children are to the younger children. Now, in our current situation where we are in bubbles, this may not be able to happen, but it's definitely something that we will bring in later in the year if we aren't able to do that right away, because we just know how important and special it is.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we're really, really lucky that we have been able to develop over the last few years a fantastic forest school area within our own grounds. And it's really, really lovely clearing where the children can go out and they can explore, they can make campfires and build dens. It really, really is a lovely opportunity for the children to go outside in all weathers. And we're also so lucky that the forest school leader is actually also our lovely TA in our classroom, Mrs. Skull. So the early years children are fortunate enough that they get to go out and do forest school every single week, at least one morning every week. And we go out, like we said before, all weathers, but to ensure that they can go out in all weathers, we would require for you to send them in with a puddle suit and with a pair of wellies, both of which we would need to stay at school throughout the whole year, and obviously named and clearly named and clearly labelled, so that the children can go out and they can jump in the puddles and they can get muddy and it doesn't matter because everything is protected. So we often get asked what sort of homework would we set for children in the early years in Shackdale, and the answer is we don't set any homework, as we believe that the children learn so much when they're at school that actually they're exhausted by the time they get home, especially after that first term. They're absolutely shattered, and the last thing we want them to do is to be sat down doing more work when they get home. But the only thing we really, really do think is so important is to do reading. So that's the only homework that we will set. We may give the odd challenge, but it'll be a fun task or something to do over a half term. But reading is so, so important. Reading with your child, reading to your child, getting them to read signs and labels or recognise letters and sounds that they notice in their environment. It's so, so important to get that really love of books and love of stories and love of reading really early on, to ensure that they have a love for it throughout their whole time at school.
So another thing we often get asked is how can we help our children at home be ready for school, and also what can we be doing at home whilst they've started school that would really help them. And we have a number of things here, and I'm sure some of them will make you smile because they're things you've been trying to get your children to do for a while, but they're all things that would be really, really helpful if they could master over the coming months. So we really, really impress upon our children that it's their responsibility to look after their own things, and often they'll lose a jumper or goodness knows what else, but we will say to them, you need to go and find that or put it on your peg. And it's really good if you could also encourage them to take responsibility for their own things as well. Mrs. Low's already mentioned that daily reading is so, so important, and just spending time enjoying books. We really want to develop a love of reading right from the day dot. So if you could do that as well, that would be fantastic. Dressing independently is a key one. Twice a week we have PE, and there's a few members of staff in the classroom, but not enough to be helping every single child to be getting dressed. And really it would be great if they could be taking some independence in that and getting their clothes on and off themselves. Even things like making sure they're not inside out and they're the right way around. Those are all really key skills that they could be learning at the moment. Using a knife and fork, it's actually really common for children not to start off using a knife and a fork at home. Quite often we use maybe a fork and a spoon, but as soon as they start school, knife and fork are going to both be there for them to use. So getting some practicing with that would be brilliant. Songs and nursery rhymes. It does sound silly, but it's so important that the children know these. Rhyming is one of the first things we look for before we can really move into phase 2 phonics. And nursery rhymes are obviously full of them. And also the familiar songs that you might think are, you know, just for nursery. The children absolutely love them, and we sing them a lot at school, and they're really, really good for the children, especially when they involve counting or, again, rhyming. Rhyming words, again, can you spot the theme? It is really important that the children can identify this at an early age, and you'll probably notice that your children already can guess the rhyme when you're reading a story. Books like the Julia Donaldson books are fantastic, written in rhyme. Getting the children to really notice that in books is fantastic. Recognising numbers and signs around them. You'd be surprised how many numbers are around you on a daily walk. You know, children will love to spot them and hunt them down. Give them that challenge, and it will really set them up for good number recognition. Recognising their name. As soon as they come into school, they're going to need to be able to find their name on their peg, on their busy fingers spot. So if they can do that before they start, then that's great. Start them off by looking for the first letter in their name and so on until they recognise the shape of it at least. Using the toilet unaided. Again, this is key. It's really important that children are able to try their very best with this. I know that some children find it difficult to wipe, but keep practicing with them, keep explaining to them that this is something that they need to be able to do on their own when they get to school, and we'll work alongside you to achieve that one. Peeling their own fruit. It sounds like a funny one, but we get different types of fruit every day. And until you've had to peel 18 satsumas, you won't realise how many children don't know how to do it. So if you could get them to practice that, peeling bananas, peeling satsumas, that's another great skill that will set them up well for their time in reception. And the last one is zips and buttons. Obviously, to start with, we may not be in coats, but as soon as those winter months hit, it can take a while to get them all into their zips and their buttons and their coats. So that is another great skill that they could be practicing going forward.
So parent partnership, particularly in the early years, is so important. We feel that we have a real open door policy. You can come and chat to us about your child at any time, before school or after school, or if you'd rather, you can phone the office and make an appointment. But it's really, really important that you communicate any concerns, any worries that you may have throughout the year with us, so that we can support you and we can help you. Or if you've got any questions or queries, that we can answer them straight away, because we know it's, for some parents, especially if it's your first child that's starting school, myself included, once they go off to school, you don't really know what they're doing when they're at school. And hopefully we've got Tapestry, so you'll have updates of what they're actually doing. But they'll come home and they'll say things that perhaps might worry you, or you think, oh, that doesn't sound right, or they're a bit upset. So please, at any point, please just get in contact, pick up the phone or come and have a chat with us. We're always there to talk with you and help out and support you as much as we can. We will have parents' evening twice a year, and we will send out reports. So in that instance, we will talk about them socially, but also academically. And then when you get the report at the end of the year, you'll get your child's levels, which hopefully, because of the ongoing conversations we've had throughout the year, there won't be any surprises that come up in the reports. We try and encourage parents to be as active as possible within the class. So we invite you to come in and be a mystery reader. So this will happen after half term, depending on the situation, of course. But where we say we have a mystery reader and it's going to be a parent, but they don't know which parent, and it's a lovely surprise, and the children really, really enjoy it, and they love it when it's their mummy or their daddy or their nanny or auntie, whoever, it doesn't really matter. And they come in and they read a story to the children. They really, really enjoy that. We encourage you to contribute to the learning journal. So as I mentioned before, we have Tapestry, which I know some of you may have used already at preschool. And that's a way of us informing you what your child's been learning at school, but also a way of you letting us know of anything you've been doing at home. So any real like key achievements, learning to ride their bike, if they've written their name, anything you feel like is a real wow moment, pop it on Tapestry, and we'll always comment, always bring it up or show the picture in class with the other children and sort of share all their special achievements. Equally, you can comment on Tapestry to any sort of learning that you've seen and you want to make a little comment at the bottom. We always love reading your comments. You can be updated on the school website. That's always updated with photos from us for our class page, but also any other letters or information that the office may have sent out. You can also access any information on the school website, so just keep checking that. Your expertise. So in the past, we've had people who are police officers, firefighters, vets, nurses, any sort of job really. We love having people in to come and explain what they do to the children. The children love it. So if you or there's somebody that you know that would be willing to come in and have a chat with the children, bring some props and yeah, just explain what you do, or perhaps there's a certain skill that you're really good at that you would like to come in and teach the children or explain to them about, or perhaps your culture or your religion that you'd like to come in and share with the other children, then we would always really be grateful for anyone willing to come in and just share with the children. Phonics workshops. So we understand phonics for a lot of parents is a new concept that perhaps, well, I know I definitely didn't have it when I was at school. So in the autumn term, quite early on, we'll send out a date for a phonics workshop with it will either be online or hopefully we'll be able to have you in school. And that's really useful. I know that from the feedback from previous years that we've done it, it's really helped parents. So if you can attend that, then look out for that and please do attend. And lastly, we always offer a stay and play. Usually once the children have settled a little bit after half term, we'll invite you to come in and just see around the classroom and see what sort of activities and learning that the children have been doing. And they're always really keen to show you their favourite areas of the classroom and have a look at their learning journals and things like that. So again, keep an eye out for that date for the stay and play, because that's always really worth attending.
So I'm just going to communicate some general information for you. So these are things that sort of happen every day or day to day in the running of the school. If your child is late, then you need to come straight to the office so that they can come through the office door where they are signed in through the late arrival book. And that is also the same for if you're late to collect. The doors to the classroom will be locked and you will need to collect your child from the office as well. If you know you're going to be late arriving or collecting, it's always good if you can let the office know so that we know what to anticipate. If you would like on occasion for another person to collect your child, that's absolutely fine, but we must have prior knowledge about this. So if you intend for your child to be picked up by somebody different, it's best to communicate that with the teacher in the morning, or you can send an email or call the office to let us know. Even if your child recognises the person who's collecting, if we haven't been told about this beforehand, then we would need to call you to confirm. So please bear that in mind if you know somebody else is going to be collecting your child. With absences, we ask that you send a message via school comms or via the email or phone call to let us know why your child is absent that day. For holidays as well, if you are intending to take a holiday during term time, then what you need to do is fill out a holiday form, and this would go as an unauthorised absence, and Mrs. Winwood would be in contact with you about your holiday request. Hopefully by now you've had some information about the uniform. We use Maypac as our uniform service. You can see from the uniform list what is required for both day-to-day wear and also for PE kits. We also would like to stress at this point that if your child wears earrings, then they need to be plain studs. They cannot be sparkly ones, And also, if they wear headbands, they should be small and in the school colours. You will have received milk letters through the post as well. Each day your child is offered a snack and milk. The snack is free, but the milk costs money. So if you would like your child to have milk, you must fill this in and return it by the 9th of July, as after this date we are unable to change the milk order. If your child turns 5 between September and December, then you have to pay for milk from September. But if your child doesn't turn 5 until after January, then you won't have to pay for the first term. You always have to pay from the term that your child turns 5. You may well have already had some school comms messages. If you have the Gateway app, that is the best way to access these messages. This is how we communicate class-wide or school-wide. There's quite often messages that we need to get out quickly to you. So please download this app and be ready to be using it. Even from now, there will be messages coming to you, giving you information about different things that are coming up in the next half term. And finally, there are 3 points in the year where we have a formal discussion with you about your child and their progress and attainment. These are through 2 parents' evenings. One is in the autumn term and one is in the spring. And then at the end of the year, you'll receive your child's school report, which will show you their attainment for the year against the early learning goals.
In terms of summer term transition arrangements, they're not how we would normally like to do them. We would normally like to have your child in to visit on a few occasions before they start in September, but obviously this year we're not able to do that, unfortunately. But we're hopefully offering the next best thing, so we get to still meet yourself and your child on a couple of occasions before they do start. So we will have a phone call with the preschool setting that your child attends, just to have a bit of a handover of where they're at academically and socially, and if any things need to be put in place at school before they begin with us in September. We have also planned to do a doorstep home visit, which will be week commencing the 28th of June. And on this visit, we will come to your door between, I think we're giving you a 2-hour window, and we'll come to your door and we'll meet your child and yourself. Be prepared for your child to bring maybe their favourite toy to show us. It's just a really nice way for us to meet them in a setting that they feel comfortable with their own things, and it just sort of breaks the ice. They can share with us their favourite things, something they've made or something they've drawn, whatever they would like to show us. And if you've got any questions, you can speak to us about that, and it'll probably only last maybe 5-10 minutes. We'll also bring with us a little bag to give your child, and it's got some photographs of their classroom and a little gift from us to hopefully start to get them excited and start to get them thinking about their school in September. And then after the doorstep visit on the 8th of July in the morning, we have got our transition day. So all the children in the school go to their new class, which means our classroom will be empty and ready for you guys. So in the morning, if you could drop the children off for their transition morning and leave them with us for a couple of hours, really gives us a chance to get to know them, to just play with them, read them a story, and for them to get to know us and start to feel comfortable and know who we are as well, and sort of have a look around the classroom and see what toys are on offer, and hopefully that will get them really excited for them to want to come back in September. Then after the 2 hours, we'd like to invite parents to come for just an informal coffee on the field, which will give you an opportunity to speak to us, the teachers and the head teacher, and the TA, Mrs. Skull, will be there too, and for you to also just socialise with each other as well. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about that first week back in September. So hopefully by then the children would have had a lovely rest over the summer and been raring to go and really, really excited to start with us. So on the Wednesday the 1st of September is an inset day for the staff, so there'll be no children in school. So your children will start school on Thursday the 2nd of September. So on the Thursday and the Friday of that week, so it's only a 2-day week for the children, they're going to only do half days. So you'll need to arrive in the playground between 8:45 and 8:55, and I will meet you on the playground, Mrs. Lale, and I'll take the children into the classroom where we'll play and have lots of fun for a few hours, and then the children will stay for lunch that day. And then if you could collect them on that Thursday and Friday at 1:15 from the office, where hopefully they'll run out to you full of excitement, probably a little bit tired, and tell you about all the fun they've had on those first 2 days. Then from Monday the 6th of September, which is the following week, your children will be attending full days like all the other children in the school.
So we hope you found that PowerPoint really useful. We understand there's a lot of information there, so if you do have any questions, feel free to email the address above, and we'll try and get back to you with any information that you might need.
Thanks for watching. We really look forward to having a face-to-face meeting with you and your child in the coming weeks, and we'll see you soon. Bye.